You've already learned that if two parallel lines are cut by transversal, then the pairs of corresponding angles are congruent. Well, the converse of that postulate is also true, which says that if corresponding angles formed when two coplanar lines are cut by transversal, then those two lines are parallel. Now, knowing that postulate, let's look at proving lines parallel. In this figure, I want to prove that line L and M are parallel. Well, what am I given? I'm given that angle 2 is congruent to angle 6. But what do I notice about angles 2 and 6? Angle 2 congruent to angle 6, but what kind of angles are 2 and 6? They're corresponding angles. And since we know the converse of the corresponding angles postulate is true, I can now say that line L is parallel to line M. And that's the converse of the corresponding angles postulate. Let's look at another one. We know in this figure that the measure of angle 3 is equal to 6x minus 2 degrees. The measure of angle 7 is equal to 5x plus 12 degrees. And we also are given that x equals 14. Now, what are we trying to prove? Once again, we're trying to prove that line L is parallel to line M. You notice anything true about 3 and 7? I think you do. 3 and 7 are corresponding angles. Well, think about that. If I can show that these two angles are congruent and they're corresponding angles, then the lines are parallel. Let's see if we can do that. Okay. We know that 3 is equal to 6x minus 2, and here we're given that x is 14. So what we're going to do is we're going to substitute in place of x 14 to actually see what the degree measure of angle 3 is. So that's equal to 6 times, we're going to substitute 14, minus 2, and let's simplify that. 6 times 14, 84, minus 2, and then we find that the measure of angle 3 is 82 degrees. Well, let's see what the measure of angle 7 is. The measure of angle 7 is equal to 5 times 14 plus 12. Well, 5 times 14 is equal to, that's 70, plus 12. And when we add 17 and 12, we get 82 again. And recall that 3 and 7 were corresponding angles. Well, by the transitive property, if the measure of angle 3 is equal to 82 degrees, and the measure of angle 7 is also 82 degrees by the transitive property, the measure of angle 3 is equal to the measure of angle 7. And by the definition of congruent angles, angle 3 is congruent to angle 7. That's what we needed to show that line L is parallel. Line L is parallel to line M, converse of the corresponding angles postulate.